Next on BYUSN, sky-high expectations or low and cautious? Which do you prefer as it pertains to a brand new BYU football season?
You know, the Cougars really more likely to win 0 Big 12 football games than 6?
0 Big 12 wins? Sheesh, speaking of low expectations. Welcome to BYU Sports Nation, presented by the BYU Store, official outfitter of BYU fans everywhere. It is Monday, May 15th. I am Spencer Linton alongside a man who always carries high expectations, Jarom Jordan.
Depends on what we're talking about. Yeah, it depends. On today's show, a discussion about said expectations. High versus low. What do we prefer? What do you prefer? Weigh in on social media. Cam Mellor on that and the fit of 3 Cougar draft picks in the next batch of dudes in the NFL. Jennifer Rockwood and Jamie Shepherd break down the newly released Big 12 women's soccer schedule. Welcome Thursdays and Mondays. And high school graduation photos you have to see from 3 women's volleyball players on the Cougar roster in Egypt in front of a pyramid. Pretty cool. But here are today's headlines.
Beginning with some NFL news, Jaron Hall has signed a 4-year contract with the Minnesota Vikings worth $4.1 million.
I feel like he should look a little happier in this photo. Maybe they caught him at a weird time.
$300,000 signing bonus. Hey.
Jaron, smile.
Very even keel. He also competed in the Vikings rookie mini camp over the past weekend as head coach. Complimentary. Obviously said there's a lot to learn, but Jaron Hall doing his thing and getting paid now.
He was getting paid last year with the NIL, but certainly much more in the NFL. In the USFL, Diane Lake had 6 tackles, 2 pass breakups in the Houston Gamblers' 27-20 win over the Birmingham Stallions. Not to be confused with the, what was it, the Red, whatever, the Atlanta...
The Red Stallions.
The Red Stallions?
Yes.
Troy Warner had 13 tackles for the Memphis Showboats in a win, 17-10 over the New Orleans Breakers. Corbin Kafusi also plays O-line on the Showboats.
Yep.
And new signee Kai Nakua had a tackle for the Michigan Panthers. Are there Panthers in Michigan? And a loss to the Pittsburgh Maulers.
BYU men's golf will compete at the NCAA Morgan Hill Regional beginning today and running through May 17th. The top 5 teams and individuals in each regional will advance to Scottsdale, Arizona to compete for the NCAA Division I Men's Golf Championship, which runs May 27th through June 1st. Again, top 5 is the key for teams and individuals at regionals.
Here's even through holes 1 and 2. So there we go. Baseball splits weekend games with Pacific winning 9-1 Friday, losing 11-5 Saturday. It took series 2-1. Cougars still in 7th place in the West Coast Conference at 11-13. They host Pepperdine this weekend, final series of the regular season, hoping to get into the top 6 and make the WCC tournament in Vegas.
BYU softball watched their West Coast Conference Championship hopes come to an end over the weekend, but they do accept an invitation to the National Invitational Softball Championships. The women won on Friday 1-0 in 12 innings, but lost both games in the Saturday doubleheader, both by a final of 2-0. Here's what hurts worst about this. LMU lost twice of their 3 games against San Diego. So had BYU swept, they would have been the conference champions and had an automatic bid into the NCAA tournament.
Losing twice 2-0 really hurts.
Tough.
And I was yesterday's year old when I learned there was like an NIT in softball.
That makes 2 of us.
I did not know that. You didn't even know. Jeez. Track and field hosted the last chance meet ahead of the NCAA West preliminaries. The following qualified in the meet: Jessica Thompson in the shot put, Megan Hunter, Marianne Barber, Briley Pontius, and Claire Seymour in the 4x400, and Ben Barton and Dallin Vorkink in the decathlon. Nice go.
Jarom, great news. We have another official Big 12 schedule.
Hey.
This one for BYU women's soccer, a team that we expect to compete for the championship in year 1.
Absolutely.
They host TCU on September 14th to open things up, at Baylor, then at Texas on Monday, September 25th.
All Thursday, Monday.
Yes.
Yep.
Cincinnati and Provo at Iowa State. BYU hosts Texas Tech and Kansas State, which is a fun matchup on October 9th. They'll play at Oklahoma State, at Oklahoma, and then the finale of Big 12 play, hosting UCF on Monday, October 23rd.
The Thursday, September 28th game against Cincinnati is the day before the Cincinnati football game.
It's Cincinnati weekend
Friday.
in Provo.
So there you go. Much more coming up with Jennifer Rockwood and Jamie Shepherd, breaking down that and their trip to Europe. They just got back. The reason I know that, they'll be in studio, and Gregor Bell's right next to me in his office again. Ashley Hatt scored the game-winning goal in the 94th minute for the Washington Spirit. She leads the NWSL in goals scored with 5, and the Spirit are on top of the league with 15 points now with the dub.
Hatchie. I love to see the fans of said team saying, hey, clutch again, Ashley Hatch. It's pretty cool. The reputation that she has built in the NWSL.
Goal scorer alpha, yeah.
BYU men's volleyball player Tion Taylor, one of 3 finalists for the Off the Block National Middle Blocker of the Year. Wow. Taylor led the nation in blocks per set with 1.3% this season.
Yet wasn't anything in the MPSF. Still.
How does that make sense?
Still weirded out by it. And Michael Rucker pitched 2 1/3 innings over the weekend, had 3 strikeouts for the Chicago Cubs. Jackson Clough had 2 hits, including a 2-run dinger for the AA Harrisburg Senators of the Nationals affiliation. And in AAA for the Guardians.
Yeah.
Columbus Clippers second baseman Daniel Schneemann, don't call him Schneebly, had a 4-hit weekend, including a go-ahead 2 RBI single.
Attaboy Daniel Schneemann. Is he the next into the major leagues? We'll discuss a little bit later. All rise and shout. It's time for What's Trending.
It's a touchdown! Pressure from his right hand, the middle, third sack of the night. Isaac Rex makes the catch in the right flat, gets in the end zone for the touchdown.
What's Trending, presented by BYU Food to Go, the MVP of your next event. Expectations back on topic on BYU Sports Nation based on the projected Big 12 standings that we had come out over the weekend. This is wild. These are the K-Ford ratings.
Can we just throw this up and look at all these numbers?
The K-Ford ratings. We're not going to give you everything, but we will tell you that BYU.
This isn't what I was asking for, but I do like this graphic.
The most likely win percentage in terms of games won in Big 12 play is at 29% in the 2 wins column, Jarom. 2 wins for BYU.
That is the most likely amount of wins.
The most likely amount of wins according to the K-Ford ratings.
Yeah.
Just above 3 wins at 27%, but you get to 4 Big 12 wins, only a 16% chance. Jarom, if you want a magical season, we thought, hey, winning 6 games in the Big 12, that'd be a match. 1% chance. BYU has a 4% chance of winning no games, according to K-Ford.
That high?
So, with that in mind, this has probably altered your expectations. It certainly has altered mine. Would you rather BYU football's preseason expectations be high or low?
Well, preseason, for the merits of this show, high. Because it's way more fun when we think BYU is going to be good.
Think about the build-up to last season.
Last year was fun.
Really fun.
That was the most excited I think I ever was or expected BYU to be coming out of a season. This year it's low, though, because BYU is going to the Big 12. But, no one's saying, 4 wins for BYU. There's some 4.5. There's some 5.5, right? You and I are in the 6 or 7 range here. 6.5 is probably fair, right? Listen, high would be fun for the show, but for the reality of the situation, low is better for BYU. I love that stat that came out, and unfortunately I was gone the day it was discussed because it was validating of what I talked about for a long time, which is BYU's better as an underdog. They just are. They have the most underdog in Vegas wins of anybody.
In the last 5 years.
The last 5 years.
10-8.
BYU is better as a dog. We can quantify it now with that number. BYU, emotionally and its attitude just functions better when no one thinks they can do it. When BYU is ranked 12th and goes into Oregon, that is a dangerous situation, as we saw last year, not only because Oregon's good, but now they're up for the game in a way that they weren't going to be up for the game because BYU's 12th and so on and so forth. BYU at some point in the future needs to manage success better, but until then, I would rather have them low because BYU functions better in its motivation, attitude, and work ethic for whatever reason. Even when you're ranked and you play a top 3 team, you can win that game, but it's no one thought we could do it. Well, you were ranked against Miami and Oklahoma in 90 and 09, and you won, and yes, it was an upset, but
number 16, number 20, respectively.
You're no slouch. You're capable. You have a Heisman winner or contender at quarterback.
I think it was because Vegas had set those lines at, I think in one instance BYU was a 17-point dog against Oklahoma, which is wild as a ranked team.
BYU was 10-3 walking in, ranked 16th.
And
Like,
BYU was a
BYU was a
two-touchdown
good
plus
team.
underdog at home against Miami as well.
That one makes sense. You don't know BYU's that good yet. Like, they had a good 89. Ty puts up 70 points against Utah the year before, and so on and so forth. 09, it's like BYU won 10 games the year before and returned like a lot of pieces. Long answer, I would like low.
Okay.
I like low.
I want to be able to be like a kid on Christmas Eve or as a child the night before your birthday. Like, you have these visions of grandeur in your mind, for better or worse.
Yeah.
Because
Most of the time it's worse.
Let's
Most
face
time
it,
you don't actually get to think
Let's face it, yeah. Like, more often than not, like, your expectations of what is in those boxes when you are a kid on Christmas Eve, or when your presents are out and you're looking at as, you know, the birthday celebration happens. Man, I hope this is what it is. And if it's not, then you're like, oh, I'm happy because it's my birthday, but I kind of really wanted this. Or, yeah, it's Christmas and it's super fun.
Let's
but
take the guessing
I
away
was
and just
hoping
declare
for
what you
this,
want. Can we
right?
just, to my children, can you just, they're not watching, never mind.
I was really hoping for this. Not to say I didn't have fantastic Christmases or birthdays as a child, because I did, but like, it's hard to match the expectations when you're 7 or 8 years old of what could possibly be in those boxes.
That's why I just need to tell you, Brent, which one.
I feel
Lean
like
away.
fans, in large part, are kind of like kids on Christmas Eve. We tell ourselves, like, oh, I'll manage my expectations, but really, you're looking at that box going, what if it's a 10-win season? What if it's
Ain't nobody saying that
a
for this year.
national ranking? You'd be surprised how many people are actually thinking, what if?
Well, what if is silly. Yeah, what if is
It's
no.
9 or 10 wins for BYU.
What if?
You're one of the Big 12. Okay. So it's more fun. It's more fun to have high expectations.
sure.
It's more fun to just dream about these incredible presents in the form of a
Sure.
magical season.
The most fun is winning.
The safest is the route that you have gone, and frankly, what I have gone. I thought my expectations were relatively moderate, going, 6.5 is probably where I'd set the line, and thinking that 7. But people are like, oh my gosh, you're crazy. 7 wins? That's way too high. Like, oh, okay.
And maybe it is. I hope.
All right.
I hope that's not the case. I hope BYU's like an 8-win team.
I'm looking at these K Forward ratings. Jarom, BYU wins, traditionally speaking, how many of their Power 5 games? 40%.
Yeah. Thank you, Cougar stats, for that one.
40%. They played 10 Power 5 games this year. So based on what
4 and
BYU
6,
has always
plus
done,
2
you're 6-6.
non-P5 games.
Am I
6
crazy? Am I thinking that the present is going to be better than it actually is?
Well, is BYU more prepared to do this than in the 70s when they were playing quote unquote P5s, or the 80s or the 90s or the early 2000s? 1 gajillion% yes. Independence has prepared BYU for this. BYU's never been more prepared as a program to play this kind of schedule.
Amen.
Ever.
The build-up for 10 years to this.
It doesn't, 12 in fact, it doesn't mean BYU's going to dominate or something. I just mean BYU's not running into something they have no clue about. BYU is more prepared to be a Power 5 team than any invited G5 team of the past 15 years when all of expansion happened around 2010, 11, 12, right? With that said, BYU's got to answer the bell. I get why the expectations are low. BYU lost its primary quarterback, running back, receiver, left tackle, and defensive coordinator, notably. This makes sense, and it's okay. BYU's in the perfect spot, Spence. No one thinks they can do it.
They've been a winner as an underdog in the last 5 years.
I'm not saying BYU's going to win the Big 12. I'm just saying expectations are low, and if BYU somehow gets to like 8 wins, that's a pretty good season. And again, it's the first time you're walking into the Big 12. Don't have to blow the doors off quite yet. In a couple of years, would love to get to the point where we're like, BYU's in the hunt for the conference championship.
If my expectations are too high, then so be it.
Too high.
So be it. If I have the line at 6.5 and that's too high, fine.
Again, this is one of the things we're going to tell you. We will never say BYU's not going to a bowl game. Mainly because we're paid by Brigham Young University. But also, we always believe BYU will make a bowl game. Always.
BYU
always
only missed a bowl game.
It's not even hard. Win
once.
4 of 10 non-G5 and FCS games.
They only missed a bowl game once in Independence. One time. And it was the worst season in 50
And it
years.
was worth it because we got the Cougar, Zach Wilson. It was worth that season. 2020, 2021. That was because of getting Zach and Aaron Roderick. And
Would you rather BYU football's preseason expectations be high or low?
Who wants them high? Tell me.
I do.
I want them high too, but realistically, no.
I'm being told mine are too high.
I think BYU just functions better as a team when they're low. Like if we tell BYU they're so good, last year happened. That was tough.
Michael Burns on Twitter says, we all have high expectations, except maybe Jarom. You literally wrote that. Except we can't help it. But I love everyone outside the nation having low expectations. Okay?
You have high expectations. What define high?
Outside BYU Sports Nation, I believe, is what he's saying.
Yeah, of course we want.
It makes the season fun when BYU exceeds the rankings. Hashtag BYUSN on Twitter, Facebook, and Instagram to join in.
Yeah. What do you want? Do you want a great preseason or a more enjoyable season? That's how you should play this.
I'm on a little of both. A little of both. A little. I want to be able to hope that BYU is going to win 7 games. Okay.
That's not high.
I'm being told it is.
No, it's not. BYU high is like 9 or 10 plus. BYU baseball hosts the final series of the regular season. Hopefully not the season, but at least the regular season. Yeah. Thursday, Pepperdine in town, 8 Eastern. Pepperdine already eliminated from the conference tournament. They don't have a lot to play for, so BYU get it done. You can watch on the BYU TV and listen on the BYU radio apps.
Up next, the executive editor of College Football Network, Cam Mellor, joins the program. Does he think that our expectations are too high? What would qualify as high expectations for BYU football? And their quarterback, Keaton Slovis. This is BYU Sports Nation.
This portion of BYU Sports Nation is presented by BYU Food to Go, the MVP of your next event.
Does your dream of home ownership feel impossible? At Mountain America, we want to remind you the dream is alive. We are here to craft a personalized mortgage loan based on your needs. You can live your dream. And now, for a limited time, receive a free appraisal. Our one-on-one guidance and quick application process will bring your dream to life. Reach out to a Mountain America mortgage expert today.
Tim Daly Ford in Spanish Fork sells Ford vehicles including the F-150, the pickup designed for work and play. Tim Daly Ford maintains a large inventory, providing more choices for selecting an F-150 with the power and engineering to carry and tow heavy loads. The F-150's design offers comfort, safety, and a range of options to choose from. Think Ford, think Tim Daly Ford in Spanish Fork.
Thing is ours. Whoa! No one else can know about it until we figure out what it is. Agreed? Agreed. We're supposed to look out for each other. All this time, I've been searching for us.
It chose you for a reason.
We're in this together.
You're the best friends I've ever had.
The keeper for Jaron Hall follows Lupini into the end zone, touchdown. Jaron Hall navigates his way into the end zone. 10, the 5, the pylon, the touchdown! Puka Nacua.
We are live at Studio B with your day-to-day BYU sports play-by-play. I'm Spencer Linton alongside Jarom Jordan.
How do you feel about that Puka Nacua play? Because I actually don't like watching that because I remember the rest of the game after that.
Lynchburg.
It was a great play.
I went to a very dark place in Lynchburg.
Most do.
It was a rough trip. Thankfully,
was terrible.
Our interview with Dax Milne in Washington, D.C. the next day kind of salvaged something. So thank you, Dax.
I see that, and I have PTSD from the game. I almost don't want to see any Liberty highlights. No Oregon highlights, no Liberty highlights.
Wasn't BYU up 14-3 in that Liberty game?
I don't want to talk about it. I couldn't tell you the score. I put it out of my mind.
Joining us now, hopefully he's forgotten it too. Executive editor of College Football Network, friend of the program, Cam Mellor. Cam, welcome back to the show. Hopefully you don't have Lynchburg on the mind when it comes to BYU football.
No, I don't, but I definitely have that Eugene game against Oregon because I can't not look at the whole picture for Bo Nix, and unfortunately some of those highlights are just, spattered all throughout. I can't get away from them.
Yes. We've been discussing expectations.
Oh, this is not how I wanted Monday to start.
And Cam, whether they're too high or too low, obviously you're a member of the media, so you kind of take a unique approach to this, but what would qualify as high expectations for BYU in year one of the Big 12?
At this point, it's a winning record in conference play. I think you scrub away the first 2 games of the season, and you look at a winning record in conference play, which obviously puts them into a bowl game, like you guys were just talking about. But to me, 7 wins, 8 wins, that's pretty high. I do think 6.5 is right on hit the nail on the head.
Okay.
But there are some winnable games that I really think 6.5 is on the low end.
And this is because BYU lost its quarterback, running back, main receiver, left tackle, defensive coordinator, right? So there's unknown there. Of the known, how do you feel about the Kedon Slovis and Aiden Robbins and Jay Hills of the world that are the new guys at those spots?
Yeah, they've proven that they can be the players that we know them to be in new surroundings. I think that's the big thing to look at in the transfer portal. How well do these guys acclimate themselves, and how quickly do they do so in unfamiliar territories? And so, I think we'll get to it. Why Kedon Slovis moved up for me in the rankings, and it's all signs pointing to him picking up the playbook, understanding what he's doing. He's the new leader. So to me, like I mentioned to you guys as well, it always comes back to quarterback for me. And so with Kedon Slovis acclimating himself, becoming the leader of the team, he knows it. Everyone else knows it. He can run the offense pretty well. And if he gets back to the Kedon Slovis we all know he can be or showed he was at USC a few years ago, the 6.5 is definitely on the low end.
Let's stay with the Slovis topic here. And you mentioned he moved up in your rankings of all 14 Big 12 quarterbacks. Now he's number 6. He was number 7. You alluded to it a little bit, but what's the ceiling, Cam, for Kedon? What could he become in the Big 12 quarterback rankings if he has a great season?
6-7 is probably his floor at this point, but there's 1 or 2 he could pass with a few really good games. He's got a lot of work to get to, I think, the top 2. We've seen Dylan Gabriel as one of the most electric college football quarterbacks in recent years. 12,000, 13,000 career passing yards. That's ridiculous for Gabriel. Quinn Ewers has the arm talent and the skill that we all know he has. Can he stay healthy for the full season? That's the big question to me. But 3-4, that's his ceiling where he can reach. And honestly, I wouldn't be surprised if he gets back to there. And then we're ultimately talking about him as a guy who's going to be drafted high in the NFL draft. He has the talent. He has everything you want from a quarterback from the intangible perspective. Can he put together a full 12-game season, ultimately a 13-game season, and really put forth his best effort on a consistent basis? That's all he has to prove this year.
Will Kansas be as good as Jalen Daniels will be? Because he's getting a lot of pub. He had great numbers, obviously, before he got hurt early in the season, and Kansas made this huge splash. He's got to be one of the top 3 in the league, probably, in your opinion?
Absolutely. At his best, he was up there. At the end of September, he was in the legitimate talk for Heisman Trophy. I mean, that's how good he was last year. Does he get back to that? I mean, he returned to the field and led them to their dramatic bowl game victory in overtime. So he still has that talent. He's an underrated passer, which I think everybody looked at him and wanted to slap the dual threat label on him, but he had some really accurate passes, some very good progressive read throws. Jalen Daniels is more than just a dual threat, a runner quarterback first. He throws the football really well, and honestly, that's where it is. Right there at number 3, Jalen Daniels, and then you're talking about a wide open race right after him.
Cam Mellor is the executive editor of College Football Network. He's on BYU Sports Nation. He covered very closely Jaron Hall, Puka Nacua, Blake Freeland, who have all been drafted into the National Football League, and we'd love to get your thoughts on the fit for each of those 3, Cam, beginning with Jaron Hall to the Minnesota Vikings. I loved it. In fact, I was calling for it for more than a month. It happened. I just like him behind Kirk Cousins. How do you feel about Jaron Hall with the Minnesota Vikings?
I'm not saying this just because I'm here on my favorite program across the nation. I'm saying this because I published this. I think it's the best fit from all the quarterbacks.
Yes. Yes.
The spot he lands, let's face it, it's immaculate. He learns from Kirk Cousins, a consummate professional, a great guy to be behind. 1 year left. It's a massive contract if they want to re-sign him. All Jaron has to do is take what Kirk is showing him, learn the playbook. He gets a full year behind Kirk Cousins, one of the better quarterbacks, whether we all want to admit it or not, of the past decade in the NFL. At least consistently, we know what you're going to get from him.
Yeah.
And Jaron can put together, a great offseason package and ultimately become the next guy if he's ready to do so in 2024. I think it's shaping up if he does take that proverbial next step and adjust to the speed quickly. He can take over for the Vikings sooner than later.
How about Puka Nacua with the Rams and Blake Freeland with the Colts? What are your thoughts there?
Nacua had to go to a good spot. I knew a GM was going to fall in love with him. I didn't really expect it to be the Rams, but when you look at their roster, you realize how depleted they are at wide receiver. And so Nacua, slides into wide receiver 4 from the moment he was drafted at least. And this is a guy who I don't have to tell anybody listening right now or watching right now that he's an electric guy with a football in his hands. And so McVay finding a way to get him in the offense, I can see it happening. And honestly, I can see him being one of those late round steals that nobody really was calling for except for a few of us in the national media. Same with Blake Freeland. I think he goes to a situation with the Colts where he's not pressed into duty right away. We saw at the Senior Bowl, he needs some time to sink his hips, keep his pad level low, work on balance through strength and through contact. And I think at the Colts, he can get that done. They've been known to put together some impressive offensive linemen after year 1, year 2. And so I think he's got another great fit.
Cam, we're looking at the BYU roster in 2023, and we're starting to see Kingsley Suamataia, at least according to Todd McShay, show up at number 28 in the first round.
CBS Sports said top 10.
Top 10 at number 9 overall. What's the ceiling for Kingsley Suamataia? Is he a sure thing first-round pick in your mind?
Right now, it depends, right? So I guess let me ask the question: is he shifting to left tackle, or is he going to stay put on the outside?
Yep.
He's going to be left tackle.
So there you go. I think, we're looking at the projection for him. If Paris Johnson was able to do that, he moved from guard to left tackle at Ohio State. If Kingsley does that now and has a dominant year, which we've all seen capable of him, he's amazing on the move. So actually, I kind of liken him to Paris Johnson. Mm-hmm. He was terrific on the move. If he improves his pass sets, absolutely left tackles are always going to be the dominant need for a team that needs an offensive lineman. So yes, Kingsley could be, he has that ceiling that he can reach. There is a top 10 pick. I don't have any trouble saying that.
BYU's produced its last 2 starting quarterbacks as NFL draft picks, last 2 left tackles, last 2 primary wide receivers. Do you feel like, besides Kingsley, that Keaton Slovis could become an NFL draft pick next year, perhaps?
Absolutely. I think it's the 3 Ks up front. It's Kingsley, it's Cody Epps, and it's Keaton Slovis. And then those 3 are almost your locks at this point. Keaton has some work to do to atone for what he, the Pittsburgh year, I guess you could say, and make sure we're back to where he is, but he's got the talent to be drafted. And we know Cody is electric. And so I think just a full season of him, and we'll see him drafted high.
Wow. Okay, so Cody Epps, we feel like he's an NFL guy too, but you're calling him a lock. Cam, why is it that you're so high on Cody?
We're going to see him in a bigger use package this year, right? And I think we've seen the way that NFL GMs evaluate and then ultimately value wide receivers with the ball in their hands is getting higher and higher for these guys that are electric with the ball in their hands. I don't remember seeing one person say Puka was going to be a surefire draft pick, and I said it just was going to take one GM to fall in love with him, and there he is going early day 3. I think it's the same with Cody, where you're going to have a full package of seeing what he's able to do with the ball in his hands this year. 12 games of the top guy, it looks like, or will look like to me, and it's just going to take one guy. Honestly, it would not surprise me to see him go day 2, or at least at the latest early rounds of day 3.
Is there anybody else on your radar, Isaac, Rex, or otherwise?
So I have Rex and Robbins, both the offensive guys, and then there's probably a list after that. Isaac just needs to showcase he's healthy and can stay healthy as well. It seems to be ultimately the curse of the position, but he's a massive man with a massive catch radius, and if he's penciled into a tight end 2 role in the NFL, this is a guy who is the goal line threat, the red zone threat, the downs go type of guy. And so Rex to me, Robbins, massive man. He's probably not going to be the fastest guy or a full 3-down back in the NFL, but he's absolutely one of those guys in sort of a LeGarrette Blount role in the NFL that could carve a niche for himself.
Cam's great to talk with you. Before we go, how do we find more of your elite material?
collegefootballnetwork.com. It's all college football going forward for me. No more NFL coverage. So we're just focusing on all 133, soon to be 134 teams going forward, and shining light on all the little guys across the nation that need the love.
Next time we're going to ask you about Sam Houston. I'm dead serious. Yeah. The opener.
Let me know. I got Grant Gunnell content out the wazoo. Anybody that watched Arizona back in 2019 knows what I'm talking about.
All right. You got it. Cam, great to talk with you, man. Thanks so much.
My pleasure, guys. Thanks for having me.
Cam Mellor back on BYU Sports Nation.
Cody Epps.
The 3 Ks up front. Kingsley, Keaton,
let's
and
avoid
Cody.
that particular reference there. But, yeah, I love Cody Epps. Yeah. Let's not do this. If you missed any interviews, D-Blues, shows, games, you can find them on BYUSN.com. Download the free BYU TV app to get all the BYU TV sports content on demand.
Up next, is Robbie Bosco the most underrated quarterback in BYU history?
Ooh.
Somebody said it. We're going to discuss it. This is BYU Sports Nation.
BYU Sports Nation is presented by the BYU Store, official outfitter of BYU fans everywhere.
Quick crack. Wash all you want. Don't drive dirty.
Trio Orem Senior Living believes in empowering seniors to live life to the fullest. We help eliminate stress out of daily life when you live at Trio. Less time focusing on housework means you can socialize at one of our many events, with safety in mind, of course. And did we mention our spacious apartments with modern amenities? Learn more about setting up a private tour at trioorem.com.
Perfect time for what? As you wish.
Are you crazy?
It'll be fun.
Before I was a coach at BYU, I was a BYU fan.
When you hear the crowd roar, that makes it more exciting, more of an adrenaline rush.
BYU Sports, it's all about the fans.
Follow BYU Sports Nation on social media for content throughout the 24-hour day. Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, YouTube, and TikTok.
He is Jarom. I am Spencer. It's a Monday, and it's time to whip it. The Cougar Whip Round presented by Maersk, your e-commerce logistics shipping partner.
The Gamblin' Gauchos podcast made a list of the most underrated quarterbacks from each Big 12 school. So BYU's in Big 12 here, so that's exciting. I heard that. Named Robbie Bosco as BYU's. Is Robbie Bosco the most underrated quarterback in BYU history?
Can you finish third in the Heisman voting and be considered underrated?
Yes. Yes.
Probably because he falls behind Jim McMahon and Steve Young. Like he was
Ty Detmer.
He was immediately following Jim McMahon and Steve Young in that order.
I mean, in the conversation, he does not get brought up as one of the top guys.
He's underrated for sure. I don't know that he's the most underrated quarterback. For me, the answer to that question is John Walsh.
He's outside the A-list. He's right there, though.
Yes, and I feel like had he stayed one more year, Jarom, had he decided not to leave early, he probably would have made an NFL roster and would be discussed more with the all-time passing yards, all-time touchdown passes conversations. But because he opted to leave early and then he didn't make it in the NFL, he kind of just got lost in the wake. Like John Walsh, to me, had a chance following Ty Detmer to be the next dude. But I feel like he's the most underrated of any BYU quarterback.
Robbie's a pretty good pick when it comes to the sort of like, oh yeah, that guy. But it's like, this dude won a national championship, second team All-American. You mentioned it, third in the Heisman, third-round pick. That's pretty good. Like, no one has that resume at BYU. Literally, he's the only one that can say, I won a natty.
But maybe because he's not discussed as much as McMahon,
that's why
Young,
he's
and Denver, he's the most underrated.
And, like, frankly, that's proper in that conversation, but it doesn't mean he's not underrated because he's rated kind of low given what his LinkedIn says right there.
My outside shot was also Max Hall. Like, Max Hall, 32-7 as a starter, incredible.
Yeah.
But he didn't win any like major awards, right? So
he competed in the modern era where it was harder.
Yeah.
If Max Hall puts up those numbers in the 70s, he is just like Mark Wilson. He is just like him.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
All right, let's stay with the college football theme here and extend it into the NFL, if you will. What's the best BYU football weekend road trip this season? Not just with BYU's game in mind, but maybe some potential National Football League scenarios around.
So there are 5 opportunities within like 4 hours from the location of the football game for BYU on a Saturday to an NFL game the next day or soon thereafter. The best option for me, due to time, is because it's within an hour, is at Kansas, September 23rd. You can see the Chiefs host the Bears. The rest of them are a little far away. You got to jaunt a little bit. 4.5, 3 hours, 4:15 to get to some of these other locations. But it depends just how far you want to go. So if it's an 11 a.m. or noon start the next day, it's going to be an early morning. But there's some fun opportunities for fans if they want to go to a game on a Saturday and then go see some NFL guys play. You have a chance.
Yeah. If I had to pick one, I'm going with September 23rd and 24th because it's BYU's first Big 12 game ever at Kansas.
And it's the second most winnable game on the Big 12 schedule, I think.
Fun quarterback matchup between Keaton Slovis and Jalen Daniels. Is Kansas for real? Like, BYU's going to be a good test for them?
No, but Daniels.
Yes, he is.
Kansas football's not.
And then you get to go support Andy Reid the next day and Matt Bushman. Maybe Matt Bushman's on the active roster.
We know you. It's at least Andy.
It's at least Andy
hope
Reid.
It's Matt as well.
And it's very convenient, as you pointed out. The best NFL game, if your emphasis is there, probably Saints at Texans. If you want to watch Taysom and Jamal play in Houston, you make about a 3.5-hour jaunt south of Dallas-Fort Worth, and then you can watch those guys play after BYU plays at TCU. The defending national runners-up.
4.5 on Google Maps, so it's a ways away. But yeah. Florida State's athletic director Michael Alford sounded off on the ACC's media deal, which they signed a long time ago for a long time. Specifically, Alford wasn't very happy that UCF, new Big 12 member, will be getting a bigger media deal than the Seminoles, saying that's just not acceptable to us. Is this another win for the Big 12?
Sure, yeah.
It's not just the Pac-12.
It's other conferences now, too. It reminds me of, like, the quarterback contracts in the NFL, though. Like, because it's always, like, a one-upping scenario. At one point, Derek Carr was the highest-paid quarterback in the National Football League. It's not going to last. Like, at some point, the ACC will get a better deal than the Big 12 has. It just kind of depends on timing. Like, the next deal is always going to be more, it seems. So for now, yeah, like, the Big 12 has a better contract than the ACC, but could they renegotiate? Could they come to the table and, like, make something better? Probably. But it's fun for now. And Derek Carr was like, yeah, I'm the highest paid quarterback in the NFL.
ACC signed a super long deal. You shouldn't sign more than like a 6-year deal, in my opinion, or 8. Like, just times change. You can get paid more quicker. Granted, if your league stinks and people leave, now you're in the situation like the Pac-12 where you're trying to figure it out post USC, UCLA. So, yeah, great.
It's very fun. It's also mid-May. The BYU women's volleyball team currently on a foreign trip that includes stops in Turkey, Greece, and they are currently in Egypt. This is awesome.
That's awesome.
They posted pictures over the weekend of the team on a camel ride in front of the pyramids.
In Cairo, how about that? That's cool.
Jarom, have you ever ridden a camel?
I actually have randomly, but it was in Phoenix at the zoo. They're just like, hey, pay like $6 and you can ride this camel. So Ben and Tate and I got up on a camel. So
you've ridden a camel?
Yeah, it was fun.
Okay.
I would, yeah, someone just texted me. It's 3.5 hours if Spencer's driving.
Truth.
From Dallas to Houston.
100%.
Yeah. Got that radar detector on there.
100%.
Have you ridden a camel?
I have not ridden a camel.
You're pretty high up there. I would prefer it be in Egypt next time and not Phoenix, but desert-like.
Somewhere in front of one of the 7 wonders of the world.
Yeah. Yeah, it was cool, man. It was cool.
Up next, the inaugural Big 12 schedule for BYU women's soccer is officially out.
Yeah!
It's here, and so are the head coach, Jen Rockwood, and senior midfielder, Jamie Shepherd.
European travelers.
Yeah, they had a nice vacation recently, too.
Jet lag coming back from
Europe. They ride camels. This is BYU Sports Nation.
This portion of BYU Sports Nation is presented by Maersk, your e-commerce logistics shipping partner.
If you're looking to build your brand awareness and increase market share as BYU moves into the Big 12, this is the place, BYU Athletics. We can provide the tools you need to make sure your company is seen and heard. BYU Athletics is where you can align your products and services with loyal fans that cheer for our Cougars. And they can also help your business win. Learn more about what a partnership with BYU Athletics and your company will look like. After all, this is the place. Email sponsorship at byu.edu today.
This is where we dominate. Our playground, place of business. This is our promised land, where we seek to find ourselves. And we're here to make sure the spaces our best prove themselves on appear how they should. Intermountain Healthcare, official medical provider for BYU Athletics.
4 kids disappeared in these woods 23 years ago, never to be seen again. What is this thing?
Whoa! Has it made contact? It chose you for a reason.
Your friends, they vanished.
Men in suits showed up.
Don't want to know what it is. What's through the light?
Zingo shot, takes a deflection, it's a goal!
Wade scores! Olivia Wade! And in! What a shot by Jamie Shepherd! Welcome back to BYU Sports Nation, live from Studio B alongside Jarom Jordan. I am Spencer Linton. It's time to be excited about BYU women's soccer. The Big 12 schedule is here.
It's always time, Spence.
It is official. I know, but it's Power 5, right? Hey, we roll it.
They've been a power team for a long time. It's been awesome.
Here's a look at it. 2023 conference slate. BYU opens up with a big-time game Thursday, September 14th against TCU, a very good team.
They were awesome
BYU has history with.
Yep, 9-1 all-time was TCU.
Then at Baylor, at Texas is a fun date on Monday, September 25th. And then you called it the Cincinnati weekend, Jarom. Yep. Friday night game against the Bearcats, and then football hosts Cincinnati in their Big 12.
Yep, Thursday, Friday, soccer and American football. Let's go.
At Iowa State, Monday, October 2nd, followed by a home date with Texas Tech on Thursday. Then Kansas State on Monday, October 9th. That's a good team. At Oklahoma State, at Oklahoma. And then Central Florida rounds out the conference schedule on Monday, October 23rd in Provo. Now that we've digested it, let's break it down a little bit more and do so with the head coach, Jen Rockwood, and her star midfielder, Jamie Shepherd. Welcome to BYU Sports
Welcome
Nation.
back to the United States of America.
Thanks. Yeah, we've been gone for a little while.
Yes.
It's been fun.
You've been, I'm guessing, sitting on that schedule for a little while, waiting for things to become official. Okay, but take us back to the date you first saw it. How did you feel about it when you first saw it, if you can remember?
Yeah, well, I think the first thing we're looking at who our home matches. Obviously, we love playing at Southfield, and to see TCU. You know, the TCU has been the best team in the conference for the last couple of years and have had tremendous success. I think a top 10 team the last couple of years. So to open the Big 12 season with them at home on Southfield, that's one thing I was really excited about. The other thing, too, is Central Florida has actually been one of the other top teams coming in with an RPI and their success of their program, and we get them home as well. So 2 of the tougher teams on Southfield was something that we were kind of looking and interested to see. Also interested to see who we weren't playing. You know, so there's 3 teams that we won't see this year: Houston, Kansas, and West Virginia. Yes.
Yeah.
And West Virginia has done extremely well over the years in the Big 12. So, yeah, we're looking forward to it. We return a lot of great players from last year, including our leader and El Capitan. So, yeah, we're excited.
It's your 14th year at BYU, Jamie, which is very exciting. I'm just kidding. Like your 5th. What do you think of this Big 12 schedule? This is new and exciting.
Very exciting. I think, like you said, this will be my 5th year. So I've had 4 years in the WCC, and it's been great. But I think I'm very lucky to be able to play 1 final year in the Big 12, to see some new teams and some new faces, and I'm super excited.
And new places, which will be interesting. And let's be honest, the West Coast Conference was like really good travel. It was direct. It was West Coast. New places.
Malibu, Los Angeles.
Yeah, San Francisco and Portland and whatnot. This is going to be a unique travel schedule for the team as well, and the Thursday-Monday thing.
Yeah, we'll have some logistics things that'll be a challenge for us. Some new places, obviously, some further travel, but we typically traveled a lot in our non-conference schedule, so we're kind of used to that. The girls haven't been to a lot of these places. I've been here a long time, so I've been to most all those places, so they're not totally new. But I think the big challenge for us will also be the Monday night games. The Thursday-Monday schedule is a bit challenging, especially because we don't do anything on Sundays. So yeah, we'll figure it out. We've got some ideas, and I think we've always had to manage around the Sunday play. Soccer is a Sunday sport in the NCAA. We've always done just fine with the challenges that comes with it, and it's paid off for us, and it's done great things. So we'll figure it out.
Yeah, Jamie, as a player, I mean, you've participated in Monday games before, as Jen alluded to. You've done this before. Yeah. So how do you approach it as a player?
Yeah, I think it's going to be a challenge and definitely an adjustment, but I think our coaches do a great job at helping us maintain that practice schedule and the training and keeping us fresh for those long travels and for those games. So nothing crazy. I think we'll be okay.
When will the non-conference schedule come out?
I think it'll come out in the next couple of weeks. We start our big marathon summer camp thing that we do every summer, and we'll be passing out our promotional materials for that starting June 5th. So we assume it'll be probably announced at the end of the month.
Very nice.
Well,
Tate's going to be at one of those camps, by the way. So for you.
You tend to go really light in the non-conference schedule.
Just nail it in.
Yeah.
Say that in jest because it's usually loaded.
Yes.
So while it's not out and you can't tell us specifically who's on it.
Or just tell us.
I can tell you a couple.
What can you tell us?
Yeah,
tell us what you want.
Sure. No, we've always challenged ourselves with a non-conference schedule that's been tough. Because that does prepare you for the rigors of a conference schedule, and we want to be good, and we want to be up there, we want to be ranked, and we want to get back to the tournament and do some great things. So we open our season openers against a team, St. Louis. It's not a school that you've heard a lot about, especially in this part of the country, but they've had a phenomenal program for the last few years. They finished in the top 10.
Wow! Just
this past season, they went 22-1. They finished with a higher RPI than we did. So, yeah, bring it on.
Wow.
That is our home opener at Southfield. And then we also get to play the defending national champions. We'll have UCLA at the end of September on Southfield.
That'll be a fun one for Ellie.
End of August, I believe. So, yeah.
Tell us about this group, Jamie. You guys played 4 games on your European trip, which we'll talk about in a second. Won all those games, some by like a gajillion goals. How you feeling about this group? Because last year you guys had a great spring, and that really translated to another good season.
We've got a good group of girls. This last spring, and being able to play 4 games in Europe was huge for us. They always set us up with a lot of games. It's good. It's good.
We have to play another one?
Jamie's like, my lungs are still
Two 90s in one day. That's how we roll.
Okay.
Nice.
No big deal. But I'm super excited. Like you said, we've got a lot of girls returning. So, 12 seniors? So
12 seniors with COVID. It's like
COVID,
you might be a senior twice or whatever. Yeah.
I think Petey's been here about 8 years or so.
Almost as long as you. That's crazy. Yeah.
No, it's just more. But I'm super excited. I think we'll take what we built from last fall and kind of still build on that. And we'll be working all summer and getting ready and prepared for the fall. And we're going to hopefully do some amazing things. So.
Now, Jarom and I have tabbed BYU women's soccer as one of the teams, if not the team, that has the best shot to go in year one of Big 12 competition and compete for a conference championship. We've set those expectations. Don't know if you hate them or if you love them, but where do you stand in that? Because you're a great program, Jen. Everybody knows it. The Big 12 knows it. So where do you stand on expectations in year one of Big 12 play?
Well, I think that's something that's helped our program over the years is that the expectations are always high. This will be our 4th conference. Every time we've gone into a conference, our expectation is to win it. I think that's just what you have to do. And I think we've been in a position these last few years with our preparation, the WCC, which was a fantastic soccer conference and really helped us nationally get even more exposure. That's prepared us well to go into the Big 12. Big 12 is great soccer. There's no question about that. There's a lot of programs that have a lot of strong history. But we feel like we're ready and we're prepared. It's not going to be easy by any stretch. And we'll be challenged very deep into the schedule each and every game. But that's how you want it. You want to play the best to be the best, and you got to go beat the best at home and on the road. So that's what we'll expect, and we think that we'll be prepared for sure. You know, you need things to fall your way. You need a little bit of luck. You need to stay healthy. You need to find your confidence in the non-conference schedule. But other than that, we'll be ready to go.
You might be the preseason favorite. It'll be exciting. Tell us about the Europe trip. Where'd you go and how was it?
So much fun. My first time in Europe, so very exciting.
Okay.
So fun. Let's see, we started in Austria, Slovenia, and then finished in Croatia.
Wow.
So 3 amazing places. We had a great time.
You played in a cool stadium, too.
Yeah. Some cool places, played some fun teams, ate lots of gelato.
Yeah.
Food. It was great.
Did you eat anything exotic?
No, I'm pretty simple. Gelato, chocolate.
Yeah.
They fed us some really good food, but yeah.
No escargot.
No thanks.
Fair enough.
Stayed clear.
Yeah.
We're so excited, obviously, for the Big 12 schedule. Great to have both of you on BYU Sports Nation. We're going to give you some karma so you survive the summer camps.
Yes.
Yep.
And get into
See you in a
training
couple weeks.
And roll.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Awesome.
Let's go. Thanks for the time.
Thank you.
Appreciate it.
All right, up next on BYU Sports Nation, a rise and shout out to one of the 7 wonders of the world and some BYU ties there as well. This is BYU Sports Nation.
BYU Sports Nation is presented by the BYU Store, official outfitter of BYU fans everywhere.
Utah is a special place. Our communities, the people, the history. There is no place quite like Utah. At Siegfried and Jensen, we're honored to say that we are from Utah. We live here, work here, and when someone is injured, we're proud to say we've helped a neighbor when they've needed it most. We know Utah. At Siegfried and Jensen, we're here for you.
Learn more at siegfriedandjensen.com.
Some of my favorite moments are hearing from the family room, just a chorus of laughter.
Twas your mother's.
BYU TV has been an escape and a refuge for me. We forgot about random acts. We love that one.
Today we wanted to do something nice for you.
I see that change on him after that show.
It just brightened everybody's day.
I can do this.
I want to live my life in a way that show showed me.
Thing is ours.
Whoa!
No one else can know about it until we figure out what it is. Agreed? Agreed. We're supposed to look out for each other. All this time, I've been searching for us.
It chose you for a reason.
We're in this together.
You're the best friends I've ever had.
This This portion of BYU Sports Nation is presented by Mountain America, the official credit union of BYU Athletics.
BYU Sports Nation's on demand. You can download the free BYU TV and BYU radio apps or listen to the pod, subscribe, rate, and review.
It's very simple. Also simple, answering our question of the day. Would you rather BYU football's preseason expectations be high or keep them low? Stay safe. Mark M on Twitter says,
stay safe.
Low. You know, yeah, yes. Stay safe out there.
Don't get too excited.
Mark on Twitter coming in, low. I don't want to get too emotional the first few years.
First few years?
If BYU exceeds expectations, I'll be thrilled. If not, I'll still root for them and get a feel for the conference over time.
Mine is less emotional and just like how I think the team's going to do. Based on who they are and who they play.
Here is always the wild card. And BYU typically tends to start fast. What if BYU beats Arkansas and they're 3-0 on nationally ranked?
And now they're ranked 17th.
Whether you want them to or not,
21st.
Going into Big 12 play, you'll be like, well, just won at Arkansas. We can win at Kansas. We start 5-0.
That's really what we need, is to walk in and go, boom, we're here. We've had too many, just starts and then collapses, right? Because it's like, is BYU actually going to go 10-0 and be in the hunt for the playoff at the end? This year isn't about doing something crazy. This year is about showing up and maintain. Then you build from there, right? And maybe it's better than that. That'd be great. But I would rather in the season be thrilled rather than be thrilled about the prospect of the season preseason.
Start 4-1 and BYU is going to win 7 games.
Yeah, because guess what? The back 6 is going to be really hard.
Start 4-1, BYU will win 7 games.
We'll break down all the nuances of the schedule coming up later throughout the summer. But yeah, that front 6, if you can get 4 wins, let's go.
Yes. Our elite voice of the day, presented by PAX Healthcare Elevated, comes from Travis Teague on Twitter, who says, before NIL and transfer portal, I would say low expectations.
Oh, yeah.
Now I say high.
Yeah.
High expectations bring more NIL money. Everyone wants to support a winner. And shows potential transfers. They would be coming into a good situation with expectations to win.
I think you can be excited and expect something real. I think those two can be managed.
Yes.
Just because I think BYU is going to go, 6-6, 7-5 doesn't mean I'm not excited.
No, in the form of expecting 7 wins. That's the proper balance.
Hopefully it's 8+.
Today's Rise and Shout Out presented by Mountain America, the official credit union of BYU Athletics. BYU women's volleyball has 3 freshmen, Brielle Miller, Mia Lee, and Selena Damuni, who graduated early to join the Cougars this spring. They're missing their high school graduations, but for good reason, to be on the team trip to Egypt. So head coach Heather Olmstead surprised them with this unique graduation experience.
How about Haley Rogers packing this, the director of ops? And so they take this photo. Oh my gosh. Brielle, Mia, and Selena right there. That is so cool in front of one of the pyramids in Egypt. I think it was okay they missed the graduation.
Yeah.
I think it's going to be all right.
This is your senior trip. Who's going to have a better senior graduation trip
than this? And on BYU's dime.
Come on.
No less.
Incredible.
Nice.
Our thanks to today's guests, Cam Mellor, Jen Rockwood, and Jamie Shepherd.
Sorry to Dennis Pitta. This is not last Friday.
For Jarom Jordan, I'm Spencer Linton. Shout out to Chloe Coulihan. We'll see you tomorrow for BYU Sports Nation. Expectations for the win, Jarom.
Hey,
keep them high.
13-0, Big 12 champs going to the playoff, baby.
Go Cougs.